Good morning, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and of course, Periscope. At least as long as Periscope is still available. Which somebody told me that they are decommissioning Periscope in March. So I don't know if that's true. I probably should investigate it. I should probably straighten out my hat so I look a little more presentable. I got my hoodie on. It's Saturday. It's kind of casual. This is actually my only regularly scheduled broadcast. Everything else is kind of ad hoc. Um, Mostly because the kids have a class today, so they're getting their exercise out and doing whatever social things they can do during a pandemic. The class size is limited to like 4 kids or something like that. So what are you gonna do? But in any case, I hope you're having a great Saturday. I hope that it's not too cold where you are. I've got my Open Hack hoodie, which I earned from participating in Open Hack in Las Vegas, September 2019 in Las Vegas, which a very heavy hoodie doesn't sound like a great gift, but this is pretty good quality. It's a Carhartt, nice and warm, which obviously I didn't wear in Vegas. It's funny, I was talking to somebody last night about kind of conferences and travel, and it just seems so long ago. Like it was only, I mean, the last time I traveled for business was just about 11 months ago. And the last time I flew was basically going to be like a year from next week. And it just seems like so long ago. In fact, it was this time last year that I was really concerned because Seattle had a bit of an outbreak, and I was very concerned about catching the virus. And I mean, who would have thought how much has changed? I mean, it's just crazy, just crazy. I think one of the things we've learned is that the service economy is extremely vulnerable to shocks like this. And That's why I talked about this before. Andy and I are working on our next big project, which is going to not exactly be the Lemons to Learning project. Don't worry, that's coming to that Lemons to Learning Summit, where it'll help people transition into technology careers. Now, technology careers are not for everyone, but if you're laid off, you should at least be exposed to it. You should be at least exposed to, maybe you'll like this. And technology careers, in terms of what your capacity is pretty diverse. I mean, you need everything from data, from frontline coders, UX designers, UX testers, quality testers, and I assure you, there is a shortage of quality testers in IT. I mean, there's a software product I use. Not going to call them out, but you know who you are, that ranks kind of engagement on a social platform based on the company. And it's been broken now since Wednesday night. And one of the KPIs I have, if you don't know what KPI is, it's BI Data Nerd Talk for key performance indicators. Basically, it's kind of like how I measure how well my engagements are going on social media. It's been broken since Wednesday night because I looked at it and I was kind of tired. And normally my ranking is somewhere. Be careful how much details I share because I don't want to name and shame them. Now, if it's still down in 2 weeks, then I may pull out that card, but I'm not going to do that. I will give them the time to do what's right. But normally my ranking is 20 or better, right? So usually I'm in the top 20. Occasionally I get into the top 5, and average is probably maybe top 10, top 11, right? Usually I'm in 10th or 11th place. I loaded up Wednesday night, and I shouldn't have been looking at my phone because it was late. I'm trying to not look at my phone first thing in the morning or last thing at night. There's a number of research that kind of says that that's a bad idea. Everyone from Aubrey Marcus, Tim Ferriss, and I think even Ed Milet and Dean Grazioso, can't speak today, have kind of said that that's a bad thing to do. But I did it anyway. And shockingly, I found myself in 2020th place or something ridiculous. And I'm like, oh my God, I really need to like step up. And then I looked at the list, and the sort order on the SQL query, who knows, was completely off. Like it was, the person in first place. There's usually the top 3 people tend not to to rotate much. I think the highest I ever got was fourth place, which, trust me, for me, again, I can't reveal too much about the ranking system, but I assure you, being getting on the third place, even though the whole Grant Cardone thing is if you're not first, you're last, um, was quite an honor just to be kind of in third place in that crowd. So anyway, I looked at my stats and I'm like, holy cow, I'm like 2000th place. Like what the heck, man? So then I figure, well, okay, like who's in the top 20? And I'm looking at the scores in the top 20, and they're not sorted by anything at least obvious or rational. In fact, the person in first place has 8 points. I think I'm like 800 something points, and I was just like shocked. So I was like, you know what? It's late. I'm not going to get upset about this. I'm going to go to bed. I shouldn't have been, serves me right for looking at my phone. So I go to sleep and wake up the next day, and it's basically a change. I actually slipped 200 points, right? 200 positions. And I see I have a comment. Awesome. But it's weird. Oh, okay, cool. I can see the comment in the thing. So this is from, sorry for butchering your name in advance. My last name gets butchered all the time. So how about I just, let's see. Oops. Where'd it go? Yeah, doing this on my phone is kind of hard. So looking for a pro in cloud, wish to volunteer even for a month or two, just volunteering. Oh wait, are you looking for me to volunteer, or are you looking for me to recruit volunteers, or are you looking to volunteer on a project to build up your skills? That I'm not totally clear on, but thank you for watching live and thank you for commenting. I will reply to this. So I'm doing this on my phone, so my ability to kind of like reply to the chats kind of this, but I will do this. I always reply. I always read all the comments that come in, because I think that's just the right thing to do. So I was shocked. So I finally, pinged their support, and they said they were looking at it. But when I looked this morning, it was still broken. So I don't know. Like, I mean, how I got back to that thread, how I got down to that thread, was the notion of quality, right? I mean, clearly an update was pushed somewhere in the pipeline, and the quality failed. So, I mean, um, ultimately, I don't know. I think there still needs to be quality in software. I think when we all kind of drank the DevOps Kool-Aid, or most of us should have drank the DevOps Kool-Aid, I think we assumed that was software quality wouldn't be a major issue. But I mean, it's still with us. It's probably going to be with us for a while. But I mean, certainly if you don't want to code, there's plenty of opportunities in the technology industry. All right. So I have a response. You want to volunteer to build on your skills. All right, cool. Send me a LinkedIn message, and then we'll connect and we'll figure something out. And then, because Andy and I are working on a secret project, and we're probably going to want testers, that sort of thing. We'll have more to say, hopefully soon. We are working through some process glitches. But we'll hopefully have something soon. What I want this secret project, and we call it Project Ringgate, because we don't want to reveal the real name yet, because it would kind of give away too much. Don't want to open that kimono just yet. But ultimately, what I want it to be is I want it to be a transformative way for people to skill up. Because one of the things that I see a shortage of, and I was talking to somebody about this last night as well, is people are intimidated by starting careers in tech, and they shouldn't be, right? And there's this whole people who think that you had to have been encouraged as a kid to get into STEM. I certainly wasn't. I mean, okay, cool. All right, yeah, definitely hit me up on LinkedIn. I'll reply to your comment probably sometime later today. It is a weekend after all, and I do like to prioritize family, but I will get back to you, or just shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. So when I was a kid, I don't know if I've ever shared this story. I shared it on a podcast slash radio show I was on. But ultimately, how I got into computer programming was grew up in kind of a blue collar area in the New York City area. When I was a kid, we moved a couple of times, but most of my youth was spent in my formative years were spent in Bayonne, New Jersey. People people know Bayonne now because there's a huge TV studio there, and there's a huge cruise ship terminal there. But before that, it was basically a factory town. It was Standard Oil, or the descendants of Standard Oil had a huge refinery there, and it was just, I mean, it was very kind of industrial. There was no encouragement for kids to get into STEM. I guarantee that. Oh, and it looks like my wife is stopping by. I may have to cut this stream early and start over. But ultimately, the reason why I got into technology was because I begged my parents for a Commodore 64. And the Commodore 64 is a, oh, she brought a dog. So in case you're wondering, yes, these are recorded live. Just 1 second while I go on mute. Sorry for the interruption, folks. All right, so I'm unmuted now. Thanks for your patience. Obviously, I have a couple of special guests. This is my newest member of the family. She's very camera shy sometimes, and the other dog is over there. I may end this a little early.
I can take them back.
But, oh no, now she's like jammed herself into the car. I told you folks that this is live and totally unscripted and ad hoc. All right. You gonna let him in the car?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Come on.
All right. If you want to talk, let me know. Oh. Yeah, this reminds me of the time I recorded a live podcast with the kids in front of Dunkin' Donuts. And I promised them donuts after I was done recording. And the whole time while I was recording, they're screaming in the background. A heavily edited version of that is available on Data Driven Podcast. And the unedited version is somewhere on the Data Driven Facebook page. In any case, so what really got me into STEM was I begged my parents for a computer. Hello. I got a Commodore 64, which was kind of like the proletariat's home PC, right? PCs were around. Macintoshes were kind of new, but they were really expensive. But Commodore 64s were something like $200-300, which was probably the most affordable computer. And I remember my parents bought me that for Easter. It was an Easter gift. And the real reason I wanted it was to play games, right? It wasn't because I was at the computer. She's at my feet. I know. The dog is at my feet. Oh, you're taking her now?
Take her because she's
okay.
easier to manage.
Come on. Do you have a carrier for her in the car?
She doesn't do carriers.
Well, make sure she doesn't like.
She's
stop
too good
you from
for.
driving.
She's too good for carriers.
She's too good for carriers.
She's too princess-like. She needs palaces instead.
Well, make sure that she doesn't mess up you driving.
No, I'm gonna tie her up.
Okay.
Don't take me away from Daddy.
All right. So where were we? Yes. So after spending like $200-300, I said to my mom, I was like, well, I want to get this game. And it was like $30-40 at the time. And my parents were like, dude, you just got a $200-300 device. You know, we're not made of money. And I was like, fair enough. And then I asked again because, you know, kids are persistent salespeople. And ultimately, my mom said to me, look, if you want to play games, just learn how to write your own damn games. Something to that effect. And I was like, taken aback by that. And I thought, I could do that. So the Commodore 64, I think it came with this Commodore 64 reference book. And hey, Rupesh, how's it going? And in towards the back of the book, they had games that you could actually code and descriptions of how to do it and stuff like that. And I started at the back of the book because I was impatient. And then after not understanding kind of quite what was in the back of the book, I started reading the front of the book. So ultimately it was the, you know, my mom's insistence that I should write my own games, and was really kind of the catalyst of how I got into software, how I got into programming. And at the time, it was not immediately obvious that programming could be a career. So I went to college originally to be a chemical engineer. And long story short, I didn't like chemical engineering and a few other things kind of. But when I discovered that there was actually a career path to be in a programmer professionally and get paid for it, I managed to convince my parents that that would be a viable path, and the rest, as they say, is history. So don't get wrapped around the axle that you didn't get a computer as a kid or you weren't encouraged in STEM. I was not encouraged to program. A lot of people made fun of me, called me a nerd, called me a dork. But you know what? I've seen some of them in the years since, and now it's like now STEM is kind of like the the uh, the hotness, right? So you can't control what people say to you. You can't control what people do to you, but you can control how you react. I could have easily just said, you know what, I'm just gonna get a paper route or whatever and save all my money and buy games. No, I learned to make my own games. I even sold a couple of games. Like it was like, like $5 or whatever, and entered into a contest at the New Jersey Institute of Technology. That's another story. But when the time came to kind of learn programming, I already had experience with it, and it's just important to kind of do what you love in a way that enriches yourself so you can be prepared for opportunities that may come in the future. Hey, how's it going? It says LinkedIn user. I think I know who it is. I think it's Rupesh, but I can't see here. So thanks for stopping by. So ultimately, kind of the long tail of this is that the point I was trying to make, and before the dog showed up and my wife showed up and chaos, the kids will be out any minute, and so there'll be double chaos because I have a dog in the car still. Yeah. Anyway, chaos theory. Yeah, so ultimately, one of the things that Andy and I want to do with this secret project that we're calling Project Ringgate is really transform how people skill up in ways that are much more accessible, much more affordable, and to really help people who are already in the professional space and better their skills, and folks who are kind of on the fringes of the technology space, because there's a lot of elitism in tech. I mean, and that's just the way it's always been. This stuff is it's not rocket science, right? The basic, obviously, if you want to build a self-driving car, there's obviously a certain element of rocket science about it. But if you're building a website and you're building just kind of a rudimentary database that's not going to scale to billions of users, it's not rocket science, right? It's a gradual scale. And I think that the service economy that we were promised, the services-based economy, the tourism economy, I think we've learned in the past 12 months is how fragile it is to shocks that are both large and small. And I want to be part of a solution to help people do something that's more, that has more of a future, that you all can be competitive. And I think I see a lot of people with drive, and I want to encourage that, right? Like the gentleman who said he wants to do some volunteering. Yeah, sure, man. Well, I'll find something for you to do. I have somebody else that I'm working with to kind of mentor her and help her get a job. She's really smart, so I'm not really sure what value I can provide, but I'll help. But that's ultimately kind of the goal of what we're doing and what we're working on. So with that, I want to thank you for watching live, watching later, commenting real time. Comment later. I'll usually get the notifications, and putting up with some of the the chaos, right? It's all about being resilient in the face of chaos, or anti-fragile, as Nicholas Nassim Taleb said. And if you haven't heard of Taleb, I highly recommend reading any of his books. Anti-Fragile being one of the ones that I think our world needs to read more now than ever. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Taleb. We will remember him centuries from now the way we talk about Immanuel Kant or all these big philosophers of the Enlightenment. I think we'll mention his name and probably in the same breath, in the same vein, because he really understands mathematics, the philosophy of mathematics, and the impact of risk on our daily lives, the impact of math in our daily lives. And the way we teach math in this country, in the US, is just atrocious. I hated math, just for reference. A lot of folks, they're like, oh, I could never program because I wasn't good at math. I hated math. I can't use the word I want to use, but let's just say I really hated math. It wasn't until I took algebra that things started to click for me. And part of that is that when I was writing my own game, I had to kind of learn algebra. I had to learn the variable replacement and that kind of abstract concepts. And for me, that was really my saving grace, was that Commodore 64. So, well, thank you. I try to aim to help. I found myself a couple of times in my life in bad places, and certainly after 9/11 was one of them. After getting laid off last time and getting a concussion, which is a whole other story. Maybe I'll write a book about it. I don't know. Or an extended blog post. It was people who helped me kind of be a better version of me that helped me. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel I need to pay that forward. So thank you. So shoot me a message. I'll be back online a little later today. I am trying to be more thoughtful about how I spend my time, because I installed this app. I was listening to another good book. Maybe I'll do a review of this, which was Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo, a Jersey girl made good. Her parents grew up not that far from me, obviously different generation, but so when she says things, I'm like, yeah, I get it. But she has this whole notion of one of the things, the biggest gem I took from that, which I didn't expect, was right. That's the pandemic right there. I can't tell you how many calls I've been on it. Like suddenly a dog face appears. But she recommends installing an app, and for Android, it's called Stay Free. And there's another app for iOS. It might even be now built-in feature to iOS that will track how much time you spend in what app and stuff like that. And I was shocked. I knew I use my phone a lot, but I mean, the amount of time I spent per day, I mean, it was like 3-4 hours, right? And it's just a second here or two, or there. But you realize that aggregates, right? That's time I could spend with my kids, with my family, the dogs, or just learning, reading, being a better person, scrolling, and it's just amazing, particularly for people who say they don't have time. Install this app, man. It'll do an audit, and you'll be like, oh my God. So that's a good book I recommend. If you want to let me know in the comments if you want to review that. I read that last year. It was brilliant. So with that, I'm going to end the live stream, and I hope you have a great day. And thank you for watching live. Thank you for commenting live. And you can always hit me up on LinkedIn. Let me see if I can pull up the graphic for. It's a little harder on the phone. Huh. Captions, that's what I'm looking for. I love Restream, but I really wish that they did a better job of here we go. There we go. There's my Twitter account. You can follow me at Frank Diggs Data. Used to be at Tableteer, but there's a story behind that. But anyway, you can reach me there. Obviously, I have the podcast, franksworld.com, franksworld.tv, and datadriven.tv. And soon we'll have a third domain name out there. Actually, a fourth, because impactquantum.com is my quantum computing podcast. I actually if I had time left over after the stream, I actually have this book with me in the car. So time to dig into the math and get into the hard stuff. So with that, I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for watching live. If you left a comment, I will definitely respond in due time, probably today. And let's see if I can do this. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.